Hey, what's up, everybody? Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am so happy to be back on the According to Sacha podcast. We took a little break and then we're back for the third season, you guys. We're back for the third season and we're kicking it off tonight. I do want to first, before I get started, I do want to say send my condolences and out to Tamika Bryce. She was going to be our guest for tonight and kick off the third season. And I want to send condolences to her family, and my thoughts and my prayers are with you. And we're definitely going to reschedule. And so I just want to make sure I do that for you tonight. But just take your time, and we'll get you back on. And like I said, I'll be praying for you and your family. So I want to thank everyone else for tuning in tonight for this special episode of Conversations. And this conversation series is really going to be about my new book, The Ugly Truth About Entrepreneurship: Keys to Managing Mental Wellness. And so I just want to kind of give time for people to kind of get in and chime in. Definitely, I want you to be engaged tonight. I cannot see your comments until you actually comment. And so I'll be looking for it. So I want to do several things tonight. I want to talk to you about my book. I want you to ask questions as a Q&A. Ask me what is the ugly truth about entrepreneurship? Questions like that, so I can, get into it. If you have comments or anything that you've been through in your business, and you could say, hey, look, this is my ugly truth, drop it in the chat if y'all understand what I'm talking about. And so I want to say thank you to everyone else that have, whether you purchased the book, you've been sharing the post about the book, all all the great things you've been saying. I've had people to write reviews so far. They read the book, they loved it, and I just can't wait for you all to get the book as well. The book is available on Amazon.com. And it is, I don't even know why I said .com, right? So it's on Amazon. It's also been picked up on Goodreads. So if anybody's familiar with Goodreads, Goodreads is one of the other major online book platforms out there. And so it's been picked up on Goodreads and Blackwell, um, UK, Blackwell Books in the UK. So it's already over in Europe and everything. And so I'm really, really excited about this book. And it's been one that I wouldn't say it was a long time coming, but it was just something that I've always been pondering over. And just think about your story, think about your the things that you go through, like entrepreneurship. I always say, if people see me post anything about it, entrepreneurship is not for the weak. You have to be really ready to really get into this thing, because it gets gritty, it gets grimy, it gets ugly. The results are beautiful, but the process can be very hard. It can be tedious. It can be so many different things, but it's about how you stick with it. It's about how you're, just continuously being courageous, even in the business world. It's competitive. It's, so much noise, so much chatter, everything that's around you. It's like, where am I going? Am I coming this way or going that way? Whatever it is. But if it's something that you are feeling in your heart to do, you have a product, you have a service, you have something that's out there, it's in your heart, it's in your mind, it's the idea, and you want to go forward in it, you just go forward in it. And excuse me, definitely have a plan for it. Know what you want, have the plan for it, and go forward in it. It does take you for you to be consistent. It does take a lot of, sometimes it's sacrifices. It's a lot of things that comes with it, but those are the things you have to be ready for and have to understand that that's what it is. So in the beginning of the year, I wrote, well, no, I didn't write. I did my first podcast. When I launched the first episode of my podcast, it was called The Truth About Entrepreneurship. And at the time, I didn't think I was going to write a book called The Ugly Truth About Entrepreneurship, but it's called The Truth About Entrepreneurship. And as a matter of fact, it is the top running podcast episode that I have on my platform. Actually, it's the one that's number one. And so I guess a lot of people are resonating with things that I had to say in it. And I do would love for y'all to hey, how you doing? So I would love for you to definitely check it out on my podcast. Hold on, let me respond real quick. Um, so I got people chiming in, and so hold on, trying to talk and type at the same time. But yeah, so it's wonderful. It is. I'm just kind of excited about the whole thing and the marketing I'm putting behind it and how everything is being picked up. Hey Monique, how you doing? I got people coming in from LinkedIn, Facebook, and everybody on YouTube that's watching. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And hold on. So sorry. Usually I'm multitasking all the time and I could talk and type and everything, but sometimes you got to be able to be like, I don't want to say the wrong thing while I'm talking or type the wrong thing and everything. So I have some people that's coming on that's going to talk about, some things about the book, about their experience and even their ugly truth about entrepreneurship. But before I bring them on, I will just want to kind of say, y'all definitely throw out some questions. Let's get it going and everything. But while I'm waiting for the questions to come up, so I'll finish talking. So I did the truth about entrepreneurship, and I was basically kind of telling my story a little bit and just pretty much processing thoughts. And hey, Michelle, hey. And so I was processing my thoughts, and it was my first episode on the podcast. And so months later, had opportunity. Yes, y'all, in 2 weeks I am leaving. I'm going to Paris for a major conference that I'm actually speaking at. And, I'm sitting here thinking about what am I going to speak about at this conference? And I'm like, wow, hold on. Let's talk about mental health and entrepreneurship. For me, mental health and entrepreneurship is something that is not discussed as much as people talk about mental health as a whole. A lot of times you hear about mental health and your personal life, your job, stuff like that. But as an entrepreneur, we go through a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of anxious moments. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of things that, that goes outside of our control. And there's a lot of things within our control. And so there are things that we should do to kind of minimize and reduce the amount of stress and anxiety that can come our way. And so, and that's not even to talk about those who are, actually working a 9 to 5, have a family, could be married with a family, and and they have this business on the side. And these days, businesses are not just side businesses; they are full-fledged, full-time business. So you're working full-time, you got a full-time business, you have all these things, and you have all these things going on, and it's just like, okay, where do I find the balance? How can I integrate it? And so when I considered, oh, you're welcome. Hey, Kimberly, thank you. Yeah, speaking in Paris, I don't know who it is. It says Facebook user, so I'm not sure who you are. Drop your name in the chat so I can know who you are. But so I was just like, okay, well, let me go ahead and get this out in a book. And I was like, when you think about when you're speaking on your major platforms, and whether it's a small platform, big platform, wherever, you always want to have something. You want to have something with you. So it's just a little nugget out there for everybody. You want to have something. You want to have more than just showing up with your business cards, right? And so, hey, Deborah. And so you want to have more than a business card. And I had a young lady on the podcast a few months back, and she's a publisher and she has books and everything. And one of the things she told me in a conversation that we had is, the books are the new business cards. When you have these major speakers on the platforms and they're speaking, the one thing they talk about is about, and they end up talking about their book, or they're at their table. Hey, Deb. hey, everybody's showing up, hey. And so, and they said that that's the one thing that you should really have. So when she told me that, I was like, okay, cool. And at this time, I was still pondering around with the first book, taking forever just to get that going, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm about to go to Paris. I have to have something. Let me have something that's tangible and something with some substance. And so I, okay, hey, Art, okay, I see you. And so I wanted to have something with some substance. And so I wrote the book. And needless to say, I got that done within, I think within 30 days, I believe. Um, because I was basically telling my story. So when I talked about the ugly truth about entrepreneurship, it is, like I said before, for those who just tuning in, that ugly truth are the things that you go through, the things that happen when you're building a business, when you're trying to manage life at the same time. And sometimes those everything doesn't go the way you plan it to go. And so you have to look at the things that are going on around you, and sometimes it can be chaotic. And that's the whole thing about um that's the whole thing about my book, is just being able to just pour out the story. And here it is, the ugly truth about entrepreneurship. And yeah, so I'm kind of happy. So I would say I have some guests coming up, and I'm bringing some guests on tonight because I had put a post out there. I don't know. I think it was about a month ago. It was sometime in August, and I asked a question about, something along the lines of what were your challenges? How did you overcome challenges in your business? And people commented. So the one thing about me, for everyone who don't know me yet, or y'all just started following me, or you don't know me personally, when I do things, I have a method. There's always a method behind my madness. Sometimes, well, I wouldn't say always, but when I'm really, putting posts out there on Facebook, sometimes there's a purpose. And with that, I was looking at the comments, and then from there, my intentions was to take those comments and the person who commented and highlight them in my book, give a shout out to them in the book, call out their business and everything. So I have one of the guests that I have up is one of the people that's actually in my book. So people, when you engage with me, you never know. I'm going to be in your inbox and say, hey, look, can I use your comment as a quote in my book? And can I, tag you on it? Can I put your information out there? And so, their websites are here. Their, yeah, I got the websites in here. I don't have the socials. But yeah, definitely the websites in here, because it's like one of the things I really love to do is to make sure that I am, you want to give back to other people. Like, it's not easy. And we're all in this thing together, whether we're doing separate things, whether we're, collaborate or not. But the thing is, we're in this thing together. So first off, I want to bring up a special guest, Ari. Art, I'm going to get to you in a second. I'm going to bring up special guest, Ari. And I'm about to bring you on. You ready? I can't hear you till you come up here. Hold on. So I have some people back here in this room, in the back room, and let me message them real quick. Make sure you're ready. I think he got some good things to say. Let me just see. All right. Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So everybody, this is Ari. Ari's is up here tonight with me. And what do you have to say about the book? Well, the author.
If I can say so much about the author, I tell you, it's like it's definitely introvert, extrovert, whatever you want to call it. It's just not your
You can.
balance is different. Um, One thing that you did, you bring out is the fact that everybody has to have a balance or some type of understanding what their business is going to be like or what they want it to be like. Um, Through the pandemic, everybody has been just, it's been rough. It's been a rough start for a lot of people to start over. One thing I can say with your book is that you started to bring everything out that happened in your past. And as I read it, and every time that I talk to you, it's like I try to push you to move forward. Because there's always a different type of years and generations that things happen, and you overcome that. And I respect that. And that's the beautiful thing that you've done. You're like, no matter what, okay, this is a bubble, this is hard, but you know what? I got to get through it. I got to figure it out. I got to come up with something new, or I got to move on. And you were also willing to accept the fact that it may be the end. Like, okay, I'll just take my regular 9 to 5, move on, and just say it is what it is. But you kept pushing. But you also respected the fact that people pushed you, family pushed you. They
You,
knew, not me, but not just me. It just people pushed you because they see the impact that you can have on everything in life, and the impact that not only that you're trying to recreate and jump right back into it, because a lot of people don't understand that the way that we talk, we got that background in music, and music is like the safe passage to a lot of things in life, corporations, businesses, but it also opens up, you know, a lot of things for people who are trying to do things, and you stuck to it. You stayed with it. You came out of it. And when I read the book, and it's like the ugliness is like everybody always believes in the fact that it's just people that go through that. It's stress, their family, this. Yeah, we all go through that, but at the end of the day, people got to realize if you have your goal, you got to stick to it. It's only a pause. It was just a pause. And all you did was just pause. You had to pause. You had to go back to the normal life, the 9 to 5, and now you're rebuilding it. Just rebuild it. And for those who say that they can't get the support or the business coach and all this and those other things that I've read on the comments, and I'm like, you don't understand business yet. If you're not ready for business and you're not ready for a coach, it's not just a coach who has to have millions. It's a coach that can actually mentally put you where you need to be because they've been there. And there's a lot of people suffering from that whole thing. They want to pause. Don't pause. Don't pause yourself of building your business. And don't lower your expectations. And if there's someone that's on your same level, allow them to help you build where you need to build. It doesn't mean that they have to be a millionaire. It's that they've been there and they're willing to take the time to support like you do.
you just spit some bars right there. You was like, don't have to be a millionaire. They just been there. Like I heard that little bounce in the bars right there.
You don't have to be a millionaire to support
Yeah,
people.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so
People
much.
don't get it. And I enjoyed the book, and you put me out here, and I'm not much on this, but you put me out there, and I'm like, I've always told you I'm not the video type person. I just like to be in the background. So
Thank you for showing up.
I showed up, support, and you put me out there.
Okay.
And I'm not liking you right now.
Well, you did it, and
No, you did it.
Well, I really appreciate everything. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and put you back in the background. So,
Yes, please do, because
okay.
that's not fair.
All right, you guys. So yeah, so that was this. Thank you, Ian. Yes, it did it. Definitely did this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and I wanna bring up another guest, and I'm gonna bring up Art Burris. And hey, Art, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and thanks everyone for listening, and thank you, Sasha, for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, so I invited you because like I wanted to highlight since I highlighted you in the book as well. So Art, everybody, he's the owner and founder of Potiero. I haven't said it in a while.
You got
Potiero.
it.
And so Art actually was one of my very first conversation interviews for the podcast, for According to Sasha podcast. And when I put the comment or the post out there on Facebook and just asked the questions like, what are your ugly truths? Not even ugly truths, but how did you, accomplish or go manage through those challenges in your business? Something to that nature. And Art was one of the ones that um, responded. So I was like, okay, well, one of the things that I really love doing is I just like doing things. I always like to give back to other people. I love helping people. And I know a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, we can't do everything for free. We gotta, running a business, we have to get paid. But if I could find ways to satisfy my need to help people, then I'm going to do it whether it's the smallest thing, but sometimes it's the smallest thing that might make a major impact in somebody's life or for their business. So Art was one of the ones that commented, him and along with other ones. Some other people commented too, but you know, because I'm running a business, you have to send in your forms, you got to make it legally and all this other stuff. So those who sent in the forms were the ones that made it to the book. So, Art, on page 6, I put your quote is actually under chapter 2, and it is entrepreneurship is not for the weak. And so Art's comment to that post that I asked about how did you overcome the challenges in your business, and he said persistence. Persistence is how it was one of the ways he overcame the challenges. So Art, I just want you to tell people, I already introduced you, but I want you to tell them who you are, your business, and what is one of those ugly truths about entrepreneurship that happened to you, but it was through persistence is the way that you overcame.
Yeah, so my name is Arthur Burris. I'm the founder and CEO of Portiero. It's the simplest way to find, buy, and sell a service. And I've been through some unique challenges in the sense that, besides the pandemic, it's just finally realizing that because I'm a person of color, that I should just focus on bootstrapping, but staying true to my purpose, to ensure that I help other people. But the challenge is, the perseverance is, yeah, you do have to maintain a job, right? A daily job from that perspective, because, yeah, lifestyle to sustain, to survive. But then you also want to keep funding or invest in your own goal and purpose in life to help others. Some of the persistence issues were just believing in others to deliver on a goal on your behalf. So in my case, I personally went through, I'm on my sixth developer, right? So I went through 5 developers to bring this vision to life. And if anyone knows anything about app development, it's very costly. So this is monies that were out of my pocket. I could have gave up a long time ago. Add in 2 years of the pandemic, I could have just, you know, let my dream die, but I persisted because there is this need. It's actually a global need. So I finally found the right partnership from an IT perspective through communities, right? Like meeting individuals like you and others on Twitter and Facebook and others. So I persistently put myself out there. I persistently connected with people that shared that same passion and goal. But that persistence of I am not going to let this dream die because I have a way of my purpose of helping others. I overcame that. That was my biggest hurdle, right? Is believing in others to deliver on that promise, and they failed to do so, right? But I would say my persistence is actually grounded, and this is one of the purpose for Portiero, is actually because someone advocated for me at a very young age, right? And if it wasn't for that advocacy, like Ari was saying, that someone believing in you and pushing others, I probably wouldn't be here today. I probably wouldn't be in this position to deliver this service to the world, right? So because someone advocated for me, it's my persistence in life. How do I advocate for others and help others achieve their goals as someone did for me? So that is my driving force.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And you know, having that support from the outside and helping you to be persistent, but that drive that you have within you, against all the odds. And, like you said, you spent the money, out of your pocket, and so many people give up. I know, like, for myself, like, part of the book was, really the pandemic. A big part of this is like a pandemic recovery story for me. And so being in a position where I know a lot of you that's out here is watching, or if you watch afterwards, a lot of you are following me like as of this year. So you're just now getting to know me virtually. And for those who I've been fortunate enough to meet personally so far, you're getting to know me. But, I've been in this thing for a while. So sometimes I'll put out there, oh, yeah, I'm not new to the game, I'm just playing it differently. But I've been in business for over 20 years. And so one of the things that when you think about being persistent, is being able to, even go back to the drawing board. Is sometimes you evolve, and you evolve mentally, and you start to look at things different. So it's like, okay, how can I do this something better in my business? What can I add on? So if you're evolving, and the business is a portion of who you are, is a part of who you are. So it's just like, okay, that biggest part right there is your business is going to evolve with you. So that's how my flow had been. And so evolving over the years, and then getting to the place where, okay, I was kind of pushed into full-time entrepreneurship because I was laid off of a job in 2018. So my security was removed from me. And I was on a plan to, transition, but that happened. But because I was persistent as well
Mhm.
during those times, even that first moment, I added on to my event services was government contracting. And I was successful in my first 6 months of the layoff, and basically thriving. So, and then the pandemic hits the event industry like crazy, and it's just like, like, well, hold on, wait a minute. And so it does take for you to be driven. You have to have something in you, even if, like Ari said, I took a pause. It was like a pause moment. And I also like to add on to that, it's like, when you're thinking about a caterpillar when it goes into its cocoon, that cocoon state, I'm just like, in that state of being where, what happens to a caterpillar in that cocoon, it the body really disintegrates. It dissolves. I call it mish. It just. And so, and then it's restructured into a new being or a butterfly. You have that caterpillar is no longer, you cannot see any resemblance of a caterpillar on a butterfly. It comes
Yeah.
back new. And so it has to be that inward part of you to get to that place. So if that caterpillar says, "Oh, I'm not trying to climb up that tree. The ground is too hot, number one, for my little feet to be moving. Then I gotta go up the tree or find somewhere to do this." Like, if the caterpillar never did that, we wouldn't have butterflies.
Exactly.
So it does take persistence. So, all right, thank you so much. I don't want to take all your time, but I
Ah,
did want to just highlight you and show the people, y'all got to get connected with Sacha, because Sacha be putting people in books, you know.
I appreciate it.
But anybody, when you do get the book, I definitely want you to go to his website, check it out. he has an awesome app. Is really bringing a lot of services together. And just know that after this year, you want to get in now, because after this year, he's gonna be up there.
Trying.
Driving. He's gonna be somewhere, and ain't gonna be like down. He's gonna be up here somewhere. So y'all can stay connected. So Art, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me. Thanks
You're
everyone
welcome.
for listening.
Oh, you're welcome. So that's what we do, you guys. That's what you do. That's what I do in my world. So if you're a part of my world, you never know. I'm gonna pop you up on. And so, but yeah, so I just really wanted to just share that. Um, I just really wanted to share that with people because, you know, we out here, if anybody's out here looking to start a business, it gets real. It's not all about the beautiful results that we see that so many people, will talk about. And that's one of the things with my book, I'm just like, I'm choosing to be vulnerable. I'm choosing to be transparent with my story, but also to bring light to the fact that this is not a glorified situation. Like, we may get to that point, but there's a lot of dirt, there's a lot of grit, there's a lot of grime as you're going up that ladder. Sometimes you're going to slip off that ladder. Sometimes your arms going to get tired from climbing the ladder, like your legs, everything. But the thing is, you keep going, like Art said, being persistent. So I have another guest that I'm going to bring on, and I just met Vernica, and she is amazing. I'm about to bring her on and introduce you to Miss Vernica Williams. Hey. I guess I
Hi,
should have messaged
Sasha.
you to say I'm about to bring you on. I'm gonna be popping people up. But everybody, this is Vernica. I just met Vernica and we connected. It was just like boom. And she is the founder of Reclaiming Your Voice podcast. So recently did an interview on her podcast, and I think we could have went on and on. I
Yes.
know I could have. I definitely could have. But Veronica was one that she didn't comment on the post, but it was something else. When she posted the interview that we did and her intro in that the post regarding the video is what intrigued me. So I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, Bernica, like, can I use you as a quote?" And so just highlight. So I'm just going to state part of what she mentioned, because she has some statistics up there as well. So, like I said, she's the founder of Reclaiming Your Voice, and actually, it's going to be on page 29. And basically, hold on, which chapter? This is chapter 10, page 29, and I the name of the chapter is Prioritizing Self-Care, which is one
Mm.
of the keys to managing mental wellness. And, I ain't gonna give y'all everything about this book. Y'all gonna have to buy the book. But I'm just gonna say, I closed out that chapter with your words.
Mm.
Actually, I closed out the book with your words. And so she said, as a new entrepreneur, I've learned quickly keeping your mental health is a healthy place is a non-negotiable expression of self-love. I honor the journey of my why. And so in that moment, like when you're thinking about being a new entrepreneur, like what is it for you when you said that you're honoring that journey of your why?
Yeah. It was really important for me as I was just trying to figure that journey out because I don't know about other people. I don't know what I'm doing. And I knew I didn't know what I was doing. So I wasn't going to act like I didn't know what I was doing. Right. And so as I was trying to just find some people that seemed like I can glean from and eat the meat and spit out the bones, I needed to make sure that the reason why I am coming into entrepreneurship, that is my focus and that is my why. I did not want to get caught up in what so and so said, do it this way. And so, no, you got to do it this way. And this is the best system. Because I know me, I didn't want to get so caught up in everybody else's how they do's and lose why I'm here. and just get so used to, well, I'm going to follow this person and really lose sight, because my why is based on my story. And it's not necessarily a unique story. Um, my story can't is around coming out of my comfort zone. And again, that's not a unique story, but what I feel as though that makes my story this different is that as a Christian woman, I needed to come out of my comfort zone, and I wanted to make sure that I included God in that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going on this road and this person's road, I felt strongly that I am going to veer off of, really, again, I want to know what God says about this. I want to know how He wants to teach me
Mm-hmm.
to give this unique journey that I have regarding my comfort zone to other people, and specifically women. Um, and bringing in that mental health piece is that when I started my journey, yeah, I was in search of a therapist. I was in need of other resources to help guide me and keep me focused with that. So, because my why was also, yes, coming out of a comfort zone, but I wanted to help women to know that you can't come out of your comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
in a good headspace. Give yourself grace, and just be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
So wasn't this about me? In the beginning, it was. But as my business began to change, I started hearing the other women that this is why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm going through my own journey to reclaim my voice, I want other women to know that they can too, and to stay firm on who they are, what their core values are, and stay on their path. So that was very important to me, because
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken to people, I've spoken to coaches, and I really felt when I explained to them, okay, like, what am I doing? Like, it was a disconnect. They did not get it. And that was frustrating to me, because now it made me go back to the decision, you're going to go this way or you're going to go here. So my why is very important, because it's another woman's why. It's a single woman's why.
Mm-hmm.
It's my neighbor's why. And I wanted to continue to honor them as I honor my own why.
That's good. That's really good. And it's just like, listening to you talk about that, that was like one of my things was getting out of my own comfort zone. And I know, we shared a lot over the podcast, but getting out of that comfort zone is for some people is a big step. That's a big deal, because a lot of times you get complacent in where you already are and in the way you're doing things, that norm is comfortable. And one of the things that I started saying is like, I was always good just being great in the shadows. Like, let me be great over here in the shadow. I don't have to, you don't have to, I don't have to be in the front for me to do great things. As long as it's happening, I know it's happening. It's happening. I'm good. But it's
Right.
like, how often, thinking like that, how much longer did I prolong myself? How much longer did I delay myself from getting to a certain place? But then at the same time, when you're thinking about the right time of things, sometimes you're not really delaying it. You think you are, but you kind of like in that path where when you really get it and you're like, oh yeah, I know I have to do it now. Now is the time to step. And when you realize that, and it's just like, you have so much more wisdom with it. You have a
Yes.
lot more peace, a lot more grace. It's just everything that had to come through those experiences or those moments where you had to kick your own self and, just look at it and just like, okay, I'm kicking myself and I'm looking at the moments always comfortable. But then when you start to really see yourself in your now after you come out of your comfort zone, you're like, oh, dang, that was me for real. Like,
Yeah.
that's how, and that's how sometimes I feel now. Is just like, wow, Sasha, you like really doing these things, and I stay ahead of it because I could easily be like, oh shoot, let me go ahead and find the next cover and just hermitize myself and be
Right.
gone. Poof, y'all don't see me anymore. But I
Yeah.
know that when you said about your why, and you said that when you started to understand more of your why, you heard the other women's voices. For me, it's like I hear other people's voices, not just women. When it comes down to entrepreneurship, is everybody as a whole. I do find myself being more helpful to, me and more of the circles with a lot of women entrepreneurs and creatives. And some reason I'm still around a lot of kids too. But but
Right.
for me, it's just like working with people as a whole, because when I think about my story, and with the pandemic and everything, but also it wasn't just me. It wasn't just my business that was impacted by it. It was a lot of other people. Some people found ways of being creative and starting businesses, but you had a lot of other businesses that went out of business. And so, my part of my why now is like, okay, well, let me get out here and do. Like, I was already doing it on a small scale. I was doing it in the shadows, helping other people develop their businesses, helping them to grow their business. And some of them are still thriving right now and everything that they're doing. So I'm like, okay, well, the voice I hear is people that, need to have sustainable businesses. So if we ever come across another situation in this world, can your business stand?
Yeah.
It's not always about the profit. It's not only about the profit, but it's about the longevity of your business. When you have it all in a balance, then it can grow and be around for years and years and years, like everybody else's big, companies. Companies been around for hundreds of years. So I really appreciate you sharing everything tonight, because it just really is so impactful. And like I said, with your words, I was just like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I need to add this to the book too.
Mhm.
And so everybody, I want you to definitely check out her podcast. It is really, really good. And when you get the book, everybody, when you get the book, it is on. For anybody who's just tuning in, the book is on Amazon. It is on Goodreads. It's on, for anybody who's watching over in the UK, maybe if you're watching from over there, it's on Blackwell Books. So it's actually being picked up by a lot of big name retailers. And so, one of the things I would say is, people, if you're writing your books and you're publishing your books, you want to make sure that when you release it, you want to release it for a global impact, not just locally, not just nationally or anything like that. Follow up and make sure it's hitting these other locations. And so in that way you can, build that traction. But you will see Veronica's information. Like I said, it is closing out the chapter 10, and definitely, I want you all to make sure you check out her podcast. But Veronica, thank you so much for just sharing some of your time with me tonight. And
It was an honor. I'm so honored. I'm so honored. Congratulations.
thank
Congratulations to
you.
them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're coming out of your story and now you're able to just go back out into the world. Yeah, you are the butterfly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You enjoy your night. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye. Yeah, so everybody, yeah, so that's just a little bit of little things I just wanted to share. Anybody got any questions real quick? Because I know, what time is it? I don't want to be with you too long. Don't want to take over all your night, but I do appreciate everyone for chiming in. And anybody got any questions about the book? Maybe I haven't, said anything. Um, it said those help you succeed is good that you complete it for you and your community. Yeah. And so yeah, so if y'all don't have any questions or anything, but I definitely, like I said, the book is on Amazon, is on goodreads.com. Oh, I forgot to say, it's on Barnes and Noble. It's on Barnes and Noble as well. And I will be having for those who are in the local area, I will be having my book signing on October the 29th. Thank you, Ian. October the 29th is a Saturday. It's from 4 p.m. to 6, and I will be there. I want you to come out. If you purchase your book ahead of time, if you already purchased the book and you still want me to sign it, bring it to that book signing and I will sign it there. But I definitely want to see everyone, as much like if you are in the surrounding areas. Hey, if you choose to drive down, that's cool too, wherever you are. But hey, I really appreciate you. I just want to thank you in advance for showing up. But yeah, I will have that, and everything will be posted on the on my socials, and just make sure you follow me if you're on YouTube and you're not following me, follow me on Instagram, that girl Sash, and I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, Sacha Walton. And yeah, so I just definitely really appreciate everyone for being here tonight. For Oh, you have a question? Let me bring you on. Okay, hold on. Somebody has a question. Oh, so I've been asked the question. What's the next stage? So the next stage for me is, well, I got a lot of next stages. um, of course, I have the closest next stage is in 2 weeks, Paris. So I'll be in Paris speaking. But I might have more books coming out. And I think for one of my next stages, I'm thinking about doing a different version of The Ugly Truth About Entrepreneurship, having another version of that. And I have some other ones. I don't want to pull all of them out the pot just yet because some of them are still, in production mode. But just know that there are some great things coming, you guys. Um, More books. I would never have thought. I would never have thought I would be writing even the one book. Now I have two. Now I'm thinking about maybe. Well, I know I have like two more I want to write, and so I might save those for 2023 and start off the year with that. Um, I was trying to read a question. Um, but I think he was asking about why the next stage. So, one of the things I wanted to say about even the cover of the book, um, when I was talking about being outside of the comfort zone, you said, I'm happy that you went from the background to the face of who you are. Thank you. Thank you. Um, and which leads me, and by you mentioning that led me to this part here. I wanted to share with the people. So I, like I said, I was always good just being behind the scenes, right? So I didn't care if I was seen or anything. And like I said, when I say I've really done some amazing, great things, worked with a lot of great people, like just have done a whole lot. Um, a lot of people don't really know, but I have. And this was one of the reasons why I even selected this book, the cover, my picture for the book. Because this picture, the selfie was really actually it's a selfie. Yes, it's a selfie, you guys. It's a selfie. And these are my famous rap song. This is my favorite rap song. I have a lot. So this is a selfie. I know a lot of times people will be like, don't take your selfies and put it on stuff or whatever, but trust me, I know what I'm doing with a camera, you know what I'm saying? So I'm always taking pictures. But this is a selfie. It was in portrait mode, but it came out very, very clear. And this picture was taking a little bit, it was after I kind of processed all the mental parts of what I went through. And it was before I finally decided to go back into business. I was in a between state. And so I took the picture and it was just a day I was just sitting there just taking selfies that day. And for some reason I've always loved this particular one. So when I was thinking about a cover for the book, I was just like, okay, since I'm out the face of my brand now, so let me go ahead and put my face on the cover of this book. And thank you so much. Hi, Melissa. And so the why behind the cover, not only because I like the selfie or whatever, but it represented what I came out from. It, uh, let's see, it represented coming from behind the mask. So, you know how people always want to talk about the imposter syndrome, right? So, I like to say that sometimes there are masks that we wear. And it's not so much about being imposters. Sometimes we know who we are, we just not really trying to show up, right? And so I have a chapter in the book called Remove the Mask. And removing the mask is basically being so real with yourself about where you are and who you are and the things that you need to do to get to that place. So this was the why behind this selfie being the cover of this book. Um, I try my best not to go into too many details of this book, and I really hope I did good. Did I do good? Had to ask my manager. Did I do good? I was trying so hard not to go so much in the book because I really want you to buy it. It's very interactive. I believe in interactive books. I have questions in there, things to help make you think. You know, I got note sections. You can write down your notes. Everything's in here, and so like I said, where it's at. Thank you. Just make sure I did well. Um, thank you, Ian. Thank you, everybody. So I definitely want you to go get the book. Like I said, it is on. I won't forget it this time. Barnes and Noble, Amazon. The Writer's Block actually is a small bookstore down in Florida, but they have a website as well. The Writer's Block, Blackwell Books over in the UK, and Goodreads. So one of the things I had started mentioning earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and say this last tidbit. This is a little tip for everybody who are publishers who are thinking about writing a book and publishing. So one of the reasons why I keep saying certain retailers are picking up the books because when you're doing self-publishing and you're putting your distribution and everything, those retailers have to pick up your book. It's not automatically, it's put in the database for people to start getting books. But when they come through, they still make the selection of whether or not your book is going to make it to their platform. So for these major retailers, picking up the book says a lot. And so you want to make sure that it's appealing. Make sure your title of your book is appealing and everything. So that when people see it, they automatically want to pick it up. Okay. So that's just a tidbit. This is some of the things you get working with Sacha. You get nice little strategic tips and stuff. But I just want to say good night, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of According to Sacha podcast. And with the Meet the Author series for tonight. I actually might bring this on as the actual series, meet the author and bring some other authors up. Oh, I got another question before I close out. Sorry. Hold on, make sure I don't have any other questions out here. All right, so one question before we all go. What made you start your book writing and podcast? So as far as the podcast, I have a story behind the podcast. Actually, my boyfriend encouraged me to do the podcast. It was pretty much him noticing or just me being active on lives and how I interacted with people. And so it came up with the idea and yeah, so here we are. And so I really appreciate him for that. And not thinking it would be to this point right now, but it's doing good. We're doing good with it. A lot of people are loving the podcast. So I thank you so much for all you guys' support. It's a lot of things coming up the pot for that. And then for the book writing was more so I guess something in me that I kind of wanted to do, but I did it with the first book was Beyond the Music. And I said if I ever did a book, it would be the book for music artists because that's part of my passion because I work with music artists. I love music and understanding the music business and wanting them to operate as entrepreneurs. So I said, okay, if I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write that book because that's what I know. So I wrote the first book was Beyond the Music, a music artist entrepreneurship guide. And it took me longer than what I thought it was going to take because I had to kind of get out of my own way when it came to it. And so, but I finally did. The only reason why I really got out my own way because I needed it. I needed my book for an event I was speaking at. So, but I did that. But I think I'm thankful for all of the support, all the pushing, all the encouragement. Um, my family, my friends, my loved ones, boyfriend, everybody that has been very supportive in my life to make sure that I stay on track because it's so easy to fall off, you guys. Things always happen. And like I mentioned before, but it's all about going forward. You heard the stories that everyone else has mentioned tonight, Vernica and Art, and even with Ari, the things that he said, that I hope that you all would take this and really, allow if it resonated with you, just let it marinate, and just keep going, keep active in your business, keep going no matter what. There's a chapter in my book called Ignore the Noise or Ignore the Chatter. And that's just ignoring everything else that's outside of what you can do. You can do it. Your purpose is attached to your idea. And if you believe that and you go forth in it, just remember that your purpose should be greater than anything else. It's greater than your fear. It's greater than your lack of confidence. It's greater than anything. So when you understand that and hone into that part, you go forward in it and you just light that trail up with fire. You just do your thing. So on this note, you guys, I am really going to close out. I want everybody to have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Buy the book. I'll make sure all the links are in the chat of this on every platform. And have a wonderful night. Good night, everybody.